proceedings are resumed. Please be seated. Honorable members, when we took the break to finalize the new resolved section of the motion by the member from East 10. I have waived the required 2 days notice, and so the new resolved section, that is the second resolve, is and be it further resolved that this legislature records its disappointment in the decision's seeming failure to recognize or respect the doctrine of separation of powers that is enshrined in the Cayman Islands Constitution. That is the new second resolve.
Mr. Speaker, I would respectfully ask that
Honourable Member for East 10
to receive my.
Let me read that again. And be it further resolved that this legislature records its disappointment of the decision's seeming failure to recognize or respect the doctrine of separation of powers that is enshrined in the Cayman Islands Constitution. I find no fault in it.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, no problem. Let me go. You just put the vote in, then I'm going to finish off.
In order to that I have accepted this, I think the House would need to accept it at this point. So, all in favor of the new resolved section? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? The ayes have it. Honourable Member from East 10, continuing.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I don't know why the day doesn't come to an end. Without more and more of these people weighing in on this country business that they have no business in.
Amen.
If the day had come to an end, I wouldn't have gotten all frustrated again. But then I wouldn't have had a chance to respond to them either. It just so happened it falls my lot to put these people in their place. Mr. Speaker, as time moves on, we see the seeming behavior of those in charge to put in place those they can control. Mr. Speaker, while we were on the break, there, James Austin Smith, James Austin Smith, as chairman of the Human Rights Commission, sent out a release I know this man has beaten my good friend from Savannah all since he's been here. Now I've given him another back to jump on. Mr. Speaker, he sent out a release under the guise that is Human Rights Commission, which is a chairman. But this is personal opinion. This mine too. Mr. Speaker, I said in this motion that that governor has unfettered responsibility and authority to appoint judges. He also has it to appoint the Human Rights Commission under Part 8 of our Constitution entitled Institutions Supporting Democracy. There shall be in and for the Cayman Islands a Human Rights Commission referred to in this section as the Commission. The Commission shall consist of a chairman and 4 other members appointed by the governor after consultation with the premier and the leader of the opposition, at least 2 of whom shall be experienced lawyers. Consultation means he telling them. Advice means they got to submit names for him to put on there. So his unfettered authority again. Mr. Speaker, the Commission shall replace the Human Rights Committee. The Commission shall have power to A, receive and investigate complaints of breaches or infringements of any right of freedom contained in the Bill of Rights or international human rights treaties that have been extended to the Cayman Islands, and investigate such possible breaches or infringements on its own initiative. B, provide advice to persons who consider that their rights or freedoms have been infringed. C, provide a forum for dealing with complaints by mediation or conciliation, or by making recommendations. D, issue guidance on procedures for dealing with any complaints of breaches or infringements of rights and freedoms. E, contribute to public education about human rights. F, issue reports relating to human rights issue on its own initiative. G, undertake such other functions for the purpose of fulfilling its primary responsibility under subsection 2 as may be conferred on it by a law enacted by where? The legislature. Subsection 2 says the Commission's primary responsibility shall be promoting understanding and observance of human rights in the Cayman Islands. The Commission shall have no power to represent or provide representation to parties to litigation. B, act in a judiciary capacity, or make binding determinations as to whether any right or freedom contained in the Bill of Rights or any international human rights treaty or instrument has been breached. Has been breached. Mr. Speaker, I want to read that one again. B, the Commission shall have no power to act in a judicial capacity or make binding determinations as to whether any right or freedom contained in the Bill of Rights in this Constitution, any international human rights treaty or instruments has been breached. I thought that was clear. And they say, it says that at least two of whom shall be experienced lawyers. I'm no experienced lawyer, but I can read. And it's this chairman, Mr. James Austin Smith, is supposed to be a lawyer. Mr. Speaker, I gotta get to part of what he has written here today. But first of all, let me tell the people who he is. He came here to your country and hung his shingles on taking away people's homes under foreclosure. That's the kind of rights he's promoting. Hung his shingles on taking away people's homes under foreclosure. Foreclosures. Everybody come and do as they please. My good friend, the premier, and I used to listen to a song by the Eagles, The Last Resort. Call it paradise and kiss it goodbye. They come from all over. And they build their churches and they put up their shingles. They come to hide something to that nature it is. Mr. Speaker, I guess he's one of those who come hide something. But I encourage you all to go and listen to The Last Resort. Mr. Speaker, Julie O'Connor Conley, Minister for Education. Tara Rivers, Minister for Financial Services. Alden McLaughlin, Premier. We entered these hallowed halls together, and he can't say that he won about 5 minutes in front of me swearing in. Together. Lawyers, all three. They made their contribution to the betterment of this country. In the prime of their life. I know because I was very good friends with the premier. And for the benefit of all those who came since, let me tell you, I own 20% of the company I just moved from. Gave it up to come in here. Prime of the man's life. He was in his late 30s when he came in here. Okay? Mr. Speaker, the others came here and has not contributed. People like Smith, well, he can come tell me what he did, if he so wish, other than taking away people's homes through the courts. They came and they plundered and still taking, pillaging everything, but they don't give anything back. And that's okay if they do it, but give something back. The three of these, at least the three of these in here, the Attorney General too, he not getting nothing out of it either. Poor him. Gave this country the most productive years of their lives when they could have been out in the private sector making money too. But along comes this one that couldn't find a shingle in his own country, much less hang one, and says to this august body, today, regrettably, many of the statements made in the Legislative Assembly yesterday demonstrated that the speakers had also not taken the time properly to analyze even the executive summary of the judgment. Mr. Speaker, I was a seaman, from the time I was 18. I just turned 18. Let me say I was a sailor. And I sailed for a long time. And I promise you, if he were not in here, I would have some colorful words for him. Okay? Then he goes on to say, the appeal seeks to perpetuate discrimination, and if successful, but I just said that it's not going to be successful, would serve, I guess, to remove protections from all minorities. It should remove it from him. No one in here hoped for that. Not one member of this parliament has hope that we will encroach on minorities' rights. What we want is our rights. I want to know why he is opining on this when the European court has said same-sex marriage is not a human right. He has no place. Oh, I got that written down here too. Then, under the subheading, rational decision regarding the use of public funds. Did you hear anything in the duties of the Human Rights Commission that say they are responsible for advising how we spend money? Let me, Mr. Speaker, for the benefit of those who don't know, read. You know, sometimes we shouldn't be paying them. I hope they're not paying them to be on our board. Part 7, Mr. Speaker, under finance. And I know this Constitution back in front, you know. I mean, the Premier was there. 111. 1, the legislature shall have the authority to levy or charge the rates of revenue unless otherwise provided by law. All government expenses, assets, and the incurrence of liabilities shall require appropriation by the legislature unless otherwise provided by law, wherein we give Cabinet the responsibility to do the 10% under Section 11. 3, a law enacted by the legislature shall govern the operation of the government's financial system and process. Where did you hear James Austin Smith's name in that, or Human Rights Commission? You see now why, Mr. Speaker, it is damaging what happened last Friday? Because he's one of those that could apply to run for mayor. Long may that remain. He's one of them that could go and do it. And you see why I get heated around the collar? And understand this country is slipping out of our grasp. And if we don't stop it, it is people like James Austin Smith that can create soapbox in this country. And you know what? He's going to gain traction because it's more them than it is we. I want maybe my people don't feel it. I hope it is joy that cometh in the morning. I hope it's not sadness, you know. In the morning is not tomorrow. I'm talking about the future. Mr. Speaker, this man says, having lost or conceded a legal point in the trial, the government was ordered to pay the petitioner's costs. That's not true. He doesn't know what he's talking about. The petitioner's costs? I won't. Yes. Okay. Not damages. The government is also responsible for paying its own senior QC to fly out to Cayman, stay here and defend this discriminatory position it wishes to perpetuate. You know, I will go wait till the end, but I mean it got fall on deaf ears anyhow. I hereby call on the governor to remove this man from that position. Everybody wants constitutional overreach. Smell it, the Chief Justice started it, now this one gone it too. What does that tell you all? It tells me, and it should inform you, that once it starts, it's going to go and go and go and go and go. And the only person that be premier won't be this one. Nor either one else up there. That's where it's going, Mr. Speaker. We dare not sit down and be complacent about this little position we hold that we can lose in 2021. We dare not, Mr. Premier, sit down, become complacent. I promise you, Mr. Speaker, all 19 of us will be walking on peg legs by time 2021 come here. They got chop our legs off us. And by extension, the people. This little slippery. The first court trial has cost the public hundreds of thousands of dollars. This ill-considered appeal will waste many hundreds of thousands of dollars more. The Commission received regular complaints from Caymanians who can't afford basic necessities like shelter that he took away. That he took away through foreclosure. And then they sent him over there by him to complain about him. Oh, tell him, you know, sometimes these people come here and make their own rules, and we acquiesce to them. He has no authority, Mr. Speaker, to be making these kind of positions publicly against his legislature. Anywhere else in the world, he would be in cold steel by now. This is what we gotten. Is it any wonder that the FCO sent Deja to lead the country with preconceived position and what they must do? This is how it works. And we must put up with them as being necessary evils. This is the first confessed atheist in the country. And we got him. And he's only been there now 2 months again. He won it and they take him off and now he's back there again. 2 months under whose tenure?
Paid for by the public purse.
The same one that came out and rejoiced on TV, jumping up there Friday, appointed them. Gentlemen, sorry, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, colleagues, we have a problem. Mine, I don't know this man. He could walk in here. Now I wouldn't know him. It matters not to me. The more faceless he is, the better off he is to me. I just, is it any wonder I go home at night and sleep well? Because I work myself up on these all day. But I'll just remind them that there is no history of heart attacks in my family. I don't get them, I give them. And those of us in this country who remember that one that was the law school, why name Rakovich or something? Rakovich. Unceremoniously removed from the law school. Tell him come sue me now. I see what he gonna get. You know what he gonna get? He gonna get me taking a trip to Northwood and Bangles, and I don't want to put me there because that's the greatest concentration of Caymanians in this country. I will be king of all. And I think I can't say what I have to say. Men in this country are afraid to do that. Not me. And this one, Vukovic or Rakovic, or whatever his name is, you know, we should never have acquiesced to him. We should send him off the island. Long time. Mr. Speaker, there was a time in this country and within the Caribbean, and if they want to say that I'm talking about minorities now, tell him send another press release out. Think I can't take him on the radio? That he made a big mistake. When you better go sleep in your full suit. Because if you do anything against the country, they will pick you up and put you on the first plane out. I don't know how we are so weak now. You know how many people were picked up in this country and deported midnight and they're not returned since? That's what we got to do with people like this man here, James Austin Smith and Rakovic, however his name is. We are elected to make laws for peace, order, and good governance. And they're disturbing all three of them. You don't think it's time to get rid of them now? Fellow legislators, he went on to say medical care or even clothing that they get complaints about. I believe he's exaggerating it for his own purposes. This is not his remit. He has no authority to tell us how to spend government funds. This is the people's money that he should not be a part of. Now you're going to say that, oh, because he spoke out that I am trying to curtail the minority. Yes, if he put himself in that minority, I want to stop him, yes? Since I have been here, Mr. Speaker, since I've been here, your good self brought a motion to this floor to remove an Attorney General from this country. And I stood here, and my greatest regret was that he wasn't there so I could look him in the eye and tell him what I had to tell him. My name? Valentine. And Mr. Speaker, during that same period, because for that same particular reason, the UK brought in a military plane and took one out.
If Cayman did that, that'd be something different. When they put them on the plane.
And when the then leader of government business called us to the cabinet because the Minister for these territories, Amos or one of them Caribbean ones. Scotland or Amos was there. And she proceeds to say that, oh, we were concerned about his safety. Really? I said, stop right there. We were only looking justice. We are not the people who cause hooliganism because of football matches. We don't burn tires and turn our car. And I'm not encouraging that. Long may it remain our civility over all those others who believe they have imperial power over us. I'm sick of it. Taking away people's houses and then trying to cover it up by advocating for it. Advocating for the same people that they take the house from. And then they turn to us to get the money to help them because of the same people. You know, that's like some of them come here, work for government, getting in charge of certain aspects of industries in this country, and then open their own without getting permission to do so. Eh? That's what bothers me, Mr. Speaker. Not only are those people civil servants, they're the chief in their field that protects this country from a rash of things that could happen to it. And they're going to open their own business in that same field? Everybody come here and do as they please. Because we have been so passive, we sit down, and I'm not, God forbid, that I would say that being passive is a bad thing. You can be passive and firm. We need to stand together and run those who would otherwise destroy this country. They're out of it. What Bob Marley say? Crazy bald head man, we run him out of town. Mr. Speaker, I see one of my pastors in the gallery. He know I don't get no heart attack, but he know I'll stand up.
He praying for you now.
He praying, his knees got wear out here today. I know he consistent with that too, to stay down on his knees, but he got need plenty of it. Mr. Speaker, I don't know how they get all like my name, James Austin Smith, I don't remember their names, get the audacity, the temerity, hypocrisy, to issue such a press release on Facebook too. A flagrant disregard for his responsibility that is spelled out in the Constitution. You see? It all comes back to our Constitution. And everything is unconstitutional until we say something about it. then we're not supposed to say it. Because they know better than us. Know better? I want to give him a little sailor language one of these days. One of the colorful ones. I mean these people. What time it is? 6 o'clock already? Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry, sir, but Mr. Speaker, I've walked the streets of this country, and so have all these others. Free, unencumbered, no need to fear any human being until now. There are times in my life, more recently, I have had to pinch myself to see if it's really me, because of the freedoms and the things I did in this country, and I didn't know that I would ever end up in here. I didn't set out to end up in here in my life. That's why I had fun. They are taking away the veracity of my children and youth by not being able to be free and run and play and use this as their playground, as their only home, the only place they know. Because they have taken it over. When I was growing up in East End, I didn't have any shoes. Pastor Marcus can tell on that. 7 children, my mother and my father, and one bedroom house. But I had love, I had respect, and I had the community raising me. And I could fish, I could go down the road in string car, I could play gig, I could play marbles. My children and my grandchildren, if there are any to be, will not be able to do that any longer. They are taking the veracity of my youth from me. Who's to blame? Mr. Smith, I agree with you, sir. We are to blame. We are to blame because we have allowed it to happen. But I say to my colleagues, be steadfast. I don't believe it's too late. I say to my fellow Caymanians, the time has come to take it back. The time has come to stand and deliver. The time, and yes, Mr. Smith, this is a rally call for my people. I don't know you, I know them. The time has come to once again rise from the ashes. The time has come for you, my fellow Caymanians, to have more say than writing your elector, your politician, whilst others wrote checks. The time has come for you to help us. The 19 people you elected in here, regardless of whether you like them or like me, or like them individually as to why you voted for them or not. Your job is to understand that this hole in this boat is getting bigger. And we are trying to ensure all boats rise in the tide, but there's a hole in it, and we need you to help us plug it so that we can all rise together. And all those who have come here and made this home, we're calling on you too. Because I promise you, that which attracted you here will be gone forever if you do not stand now. As I've always said about myself as a conservationist, I am no tree hugger, but I understand that extinction is forever. And when we are gone, there won't be anything left of us. The few of us that will be left will be that zero that means nothing here off that $20 bill. That's all we will have. Our hearts will be full and our hands will be empty. Take it now. Stop, stem this tide now. You don't have to listen to me, but I know you're here. Make sure today is the first day in the rest of your children and grandchildren and future generations' life. And they must be better than you. That is what you set out to do. If a human being has said they want their children to be better than them, and we want to leave a better place for them, my clarion call to you is, let us concentrate on making better human beings, and the future will take care of itself. Thank you very much.
The question is, be it therefore resolved that this legislature records its support and recommendation for the government to appeal the said ruling to the full extent of the appeal process on behalf of the people, to ensure that the tenets and the veracity of the Cayman Islands Constitution Order 2009 is upheld in accordance with the wishes of the people of the Cayman Islands. And be it further resolved that this legislature records its disappointment with the decisions seeming failure to recognize or respect the doctrine of separation of powers that is enshrined in the Cayman Islands Constitution. And be it further resolved that this legislature asserts its competence under Section 59 of the Constitution of the Cayman Islands as the only institution with the power to enact legislation, and that such power can only be exercised through bills enacted by the legislature, either as principal legislation or by way of amendment. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those against? The ayes have it.
Mr. Speaker, could we have a division, please?
Clerk.
Honourable Alden McLaughlin.
Aye.
Honourable Moses Kirkconnell.
Aye.
Honourable Juliana O'Connor Connolly.
Aye.
Honourable Dwayne Seymour. Aye. Honourable Roy McTaggart.
Aye.
Honourable Joseph Hugh.
Aye. Eugene, you got to take it like take it off. Yeah. That's what I did. One at a time.
Honourable Dwayne Seymour.
Aye.
Honourable Roy McTaggart.
Aye.
Honorable Joseph Hugh.
Aye.
Honorable Tara Rivers.
Aye.
Honorable Barney Bush.
Aye.
Captain Eugene Ebanks.
Aye.
Miss Barbara Conley.
Aye.
Mr. David White.
Aye.
Mr. Austin Harris.
Aye.
Honorable Ezra Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Alva Saku.
Aye.
Mr. Kenneth Bryan.
Aye.
Mr. Anthony Eden.
Amen. Aye.
Mr. Christopher Saunders.
Aye.
Mr. Arden McLean.
Aye.
The results of the division: 18 ayes, no noes. The motion has passed unanimously. As Speaker of this Honorable House, I have no vote, but if I could vote, I would say aye. Honorable Premier.
Mr. Speaker, before I move the adjournment, let me just say that tomorrow we propose to deal with the supplementary appropriation bill for the 2019 year, and that Finance Committee is expected to start at 9:30. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank the member from East End. I'm getting ahead of myself. The first part of what I said is correct, but the House will have to meet first before we resolve ourselves into committee. So it'll be a 10 o'clock start.
House.
So, Mr. Speaker, with that bit of information, I move the adjournment of this Honorable House until 10 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Question is that this Honorable House do now adjourn until 10 a.m. tomorrow, Thursday, 5th. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those against? Friday. Tomorrow is Friday, 5th. Date right, day wrong. Friday the 5th at 10 a.m. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. This Honorable House to stand adjourned until tomorrow morning, 10 a.m.